when this match was moved in December to tonight. It was going to be first versus second. As you can see, Newcastle's barnstorming form means they'll be holding top spot regardless of what happens tonight, and they will be hoping for a favourable result that could see them 5 points clear from the same number of games as Auckland, should it go Sydney FC's way this evening. Of course, that would be a first. Sydney FC still yet to taste victory against the A-League's latest expansion team. And you can see on the Isuzu UTE tunnel cam there, it's amicable pre-kickoff between Hiroki Sakai and also Ryan Grant. These two teams met on February the 7th, so only recently, and it was 1-0 in favour of Sam Cosgrove, and Auckland have been able to cool their heels since then in preparation for tonight, while Sydney FC's struggles have continued, and Ufuk Talay has at last rung the changes and perhaps lost patience with some of his stars that haven't been able to fire, at least not to the fans' satisfaction to this point of the campaign. As you can see, the win probability there, Sydney FC, for a team that's never won this head-to-head. The Statos certainly like them. Having a factor will home ground advantage actually prove to be, though. Of course, Sydney FC will be back at Allianz Stadium this weekend as they take on Brisbane Roar. But it's one last trip to Leichhardt in season 25-26 for the Sky Blues. And the eighth wonder has absolutely turned it on this evening. Perfect conditions for football, barely a breath of wind, and mild heat in the Australian summer. Auckland in their white away kit for this one. Sydney FC decked out in their home sky blue. Let's take a look at how they line up. 3 ins to the starting 11. Alexander Popovic and transfer window arrivals Ahmed Arslan and also Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. It has moved Holman and Kispe to the bench. Tisserand out of the squad altogether, as is Akol Akon, and Al Hassan Toure returns to the substitutes bench. Apostolos Stamatolopoulos made his return to the Isuzu UTE A-League as a substitute last week. 24 goals in 65 games now. And you can see some of his key numbers from the defeat to Adelaide United. Let's take a look at Auckland. It is an unchanged starting 11 from the team that defeated Sydney FC 10 days ago. And just the one change on the bench, Nando Parnica is back. He was injured on January the 31st away at Perth, but fit enough now to take his spot amongst the subs at the expense of Jonty Bidwar. Lachlan Brook will be out to prove a point tonight. He's been talked about in dispatches as a potential Socceroos bowler, but he's never scored against Sydney FC. Tonight will be the 7th time he goes head-to-head against them, of course, previously at Western Sydney Wanderers and also Adelaide United. So Ufuk Talay has moved Piero Kispe to the bench, perhaps the most significant of the changes, to put one of his imports on the pine. How different will the midfield look for Sydney FC tonight? And familiar territory for Steve Corica, once again squaring off against the team he used to coach. It's been 2 wins, a draw, and also a penalty shootout win in the Australia Cup so far when these teams have squared off. Tonight's referee is Daniel Elder, assistants Joey Lee and Luke Genomatis, and the 4th official is Nathan Shakespeare. And should VAR be required, Kearney Robinson and Sam Kelly are waiting in the booth. Ahmed Arslan, more than 310 appearances in the German league system. Only one of them in the Bundesliga, but plenty in the 2nd and 3rd tier, and more than 116 league goals. Will tonight be his night to get off the mark? Harrison Devonish-Mears will be out to prove a point in goal. So it's Auckland FC who kick off away from home against Sydney FC, this rescheduled match, a round 10 fixture in the Isuzu UTE A-League men's. It holds huge importance in the battle for the top 2 and maybe the premiership hopes as these sides pursue Newcastle. As I say, good evening to Andy Harper. Good evening.
G'day, Tao. What a great night in Sydney. Little sticky, and certainly the players all know that they're in a game. beautiful playing surface, a rescheduled fixture between two of the league's heavyweights, even though the ladder positions have shifted since they were first scheduled to meet. And coming into this one, Teo, you'd have to say the scales tip slightly in favour of Auckland.
As we see Sydney FC venturing forward in the first minute, downhaul with a solid defensive header away, and Louis Vestrada takes over possession, able to hold ground against Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. Because oftentimes, yeah, history between teams does play its part, and Auckland have got the wood on Sydney. They've had a clean and fresh run up to this game, and Sydney, not just the difficulties in recent matches, but the conditions on Saturday would have taken a lot of energy out of the players. There's been a big recuperation required since Saturday night to get ready for this huge clash. Sakai onto the head of Alex Grant. You saw the speed of Lachlan Brook in the build-up, and now Marley Francois trying to use the element of surprise, but he flicks that out for a goal kick. Sakai, who's had his own injury concerns so far this season, but back in the starting 11, seemingly untroubled in recent games. And so, not quite a full week, but a few days of talk about Harrison Devonish-Mears and his late error against Adelaide United. A short turnaround gives him an immediate chance to make amends. Here's Alexander Popovic looking for Ben Garuccio. Arslan making a little bit of width. Back to Garuccio. Now Thiago Quintal. And he's going to fire and parried away. Michael Vout with a confidence-lifting save. A great start for Thiago Quintal. Nice interchange and that sharp little change of pace. Gallegos was beaten, and it's a stinging effort. Routine for the goalkeeper, but nevertheless had to be alert. Early free kick as well down the left-hand side now for Sydney. Lachlan Brook committed to the slight challenge, but this is a free kick in a potentially dangerous position. No Marcel Tisserand to aim for in the air at set pieces here. Alexander Popovic has come forward from the centre of defence. And Apostolos Stamatolopoulos, his Golden Boot season, there were plenty of headers, so he is very good for his height in the air. It's an out-swinging free kick, and Alex Grant willed himself onto the ball, but sent the header high. Close contact with Alexander Popovic, so Sydney players leapt highest in that exchange. Grant couldn't control the header. He is a threat, as he should be, from set pieces. Couldn't quite control that one. And his battle against Sam Cosgrove, you'd imagine, will be the matchup from set pieces defensively for Sydney. Cosgrove has been nigh on impossible to handle thus far. See what Alex Grant can do in that particular duel, should it come to pass. Nando Peinecker returning to the bench is the former Sydney FC player and academy product Jake Girdwood-Reich, who's about to take possession right here on the ball, facing off against his former side. Sakai to Francois. Marley Francois has got a bit of space to work into and a burst of acceleration. A clear cross. And Devonish-Mears lunging out arms first. And Jesse Randall was caught behind the goalie on that one. Joe Lolly, great vision, saw Arslan in the middle. He keeps it moving. Garuccio to Campuzano, attempting the return ball that's been blocked away. Will be a Sydney FC throw. Popovic. Devin Ishmael still confident to roam out of his penalty area. Grant. Garuccio halted his run. Prefers Arslan on the ball instead. Now Lolly. Keeps it moving. Thiago Quintal. Still Quintal. Saw Louis Vestrada and quickly shuffled the ball away. Vestrada, who breaks up so many attacks and wins the ball back so often for Auckland. And they do have possession back now. Here's the former Mariner, Dan Hall. Sakai, a loose touch. Campazano is going to pick his pocket here. And a chance for Sydney FC. Campazano, well, couldn't find a teammate.
Well, that's an error that we've never seen before, not likely to see again. All words pass your lips like this, Taya. Bad touch from Hiroki Sakai. Sydney couldn't capitalise. Campazano turning onto his right foot and then overcooking the delivery. Great opportunity, as it turned out, for Sydney from an unlikely source. And that not being Campazano, but that man, Hiroki Sakai. Sensational career. He's been superb as an Auckland player.
Goodwood Reich with a hard one-header. Too hard, according to the referee. Free kick going Sydney's way. Francois happy to go back to Sakai, give him a chance to show that the last touch was merely a blip, and now he tries to launch an attack onto the head of Ryan Grant. Quintal feeds it to Grant. Joe Lolly straight up. And Francis de Vries, who's going to be set for quite the duel tonight. The very left-footed de Vries against the very left-footed Lolly, but of course Lolly playing as an inverted winger. Cosgrove tried to shove Grant under the ball. Popovic clears. Goodwood Reich wins the header. Vestrada, oh, a blind back pass, and Campazano was intervened here. It's Campazano. He didn't strike it cleanly. A couple of good chances on the feet of the Spaniard.
Another great chance. It's an excellent piece of ferreting from Campazano. And then just never looked likely. Unfortunately for both he and his team, I think there was a lot of expectation once he had so cleverly won that ball. As he made his way to the edge of the penalty area, there was a lot of expectation. And they got the Sky Blue fans gathered here this evening that something a lot more convincing might have come.
Gallegos, long ball. It's going to bounce awkwardly, and Devin Ishmael has been lobbed, but there's not enough power on it from Jesse Randall to really punish him. It was unfolding in slow motion, but as far as Auckland were concerned, too slow.
Well, Sydney's defence was slow motion, and I don't know if this stands if Sam Cosgrove beats the offside lines, but that's a moot point now.
So let-offs at either end. Here's Stamatolopoulos building a head of steam, and it falls for Campazano! A series of deflections taken out for a corner.
Well, in the scheme of things, this is a gift. Taya, Stamatolopoulos zeroes in. It was an accidental delivery in the end, and that's as big a gift as you're going to get, really. Best he can find is a pair of Auckland legs.
Well, the ball's following him, but on a night where Auckland have offered up some chances, Campuzano has not been able to cash in. How about a set piece then for Sydney FC? Beyond the far post it goes, and saved away by Vowd at point-blank range. And again it is Campuzano who is denied. Well, are Auckland heads in the sheds because it was a defensive header that fell right into his path?
Well, it's a big escape. Great work from Michael Vowd. And there can be no overt criticism of the way Campuzano addressed that chance. That's just brilliant work from the goalkeeper.
And now Stamatolopoulos is trying to turn up the heat on a back pass. So Vowd sweeps the left foot through the ball. Grant. De Vries gets the better of Lolly. O'Connexler and Lolly. A blind pass over the shoulder. Vestrada, Gallegos, now Brook, caught in a 1-on-2, meeting the sandwich. And O'Connexler squeezes the ball back to his keeper.
There's 3 chances in 11 minutes for Campuzano. Plus the cross he could hit in, that was handball surely.
Well, right in front of the grandstand, they all had a good view. The referee saw it differently. Sydney have the ball back regardless. Well, the brisk start, the promise of goals, just not the finishing touch so far. And this player right here, Victor Campuzano, has been at the heart of most of it. Tiago Quintal taken off him by Sakai. Cosgrove had to go to ground to defend from the front. Grant finds Arslan and he can break away. Vestrada caught behind the ball. And then the pass, a letdown, straight to Sakai. Marley Francois trying to sting in the other direction. He just checked his run and tried to use a burst of acceleration, but couldn't outfox his markers. And so Sydney come back again. Quintal. As he goes to ground, he draws a free kick in shooting range.
Well, it's beautiful shift of the feet from Tiago Quintal. But speaking of a shift in the feet, Marley Francois, I reckon, had Joe Lolly. He'd got that yard on him and then lost confidence in himself. Changed direction, Lolly out-muscled him. And there was a quick check on this one if Campuzano's effort has gone across the line. Play restarted pretty quickly after that. Superb work from goalkeeper Michael Vowd. A very, very good adjustment from Campuzano, in fairness to him. Players unfold thereafter, and it's a free kick to Sydney on the edge of the D. Nice quick feet from Tiago Quintal. And there's quite a cast standing over this one.
Vowd organising his wall. In the meantime, who pulls rank? Garuccio, Quintal, Arslan. He's only had a week or so of training to show what he can do at set pieces, but will he be the answer here? It's Quintal, and it's out for a goal kick. And it's a chance to say good evening amidst a very attacking start to the game to Daniel Garbo on the sideline. Garby.
Yeah, what an opening 15 minutes. End-to-end football, plenty of chances for Sydney. That's woken up the crowd somewhat, and a perfect night here at Leichhardt Oval. I mean, it really is spectacular. Blue skies, a nice crowd gathered on the hill. Somewhat of a shame that it's on a Tuesday night and a reorganised fixture, because when the weather is like this at Leichhardt, you usually can't see any of the grass. It's covered in such a plentiful manner, but still the Sydney fans out in force, which we love to see. And this flurry of chances for Sydney has woken up Steve Corica as well. I can tell you he's ripping into his Auckland Chargers at the moment after some sluggish defending that should have led to a Sydney lead on perhaps a couple of occasions.
Yeah, well said, Garby. I must admit, watching the warm-ups, neither team looked particularly off the pace. There weren't too many signs that Auckland were about to start this game distinctly second best. You can see Sydney dominating possession at present. Can the visiting team build into the game with a phase of play like this one here? They're going to be hurried. Girdwood Reich's pass puts it on the head of Ryan Grant, and now Quintal back to Popovic. Jesse Randall. Gallegos, return ball. Randall, we know he's quick on the dribble. He runs down to the corner and wins his team a corner kick off Ocon Exler.
He's had a great season, Jesse Randall, of course. The World Cup selection awaits, hopefully for him. Thereafter, he's off to the colder climes of Scotland to pursue his professional career. All the big reward for his sensational season so far. Really led the charge for Auckland, as he did just then down the left flank to win this corner.
Corner that, as you can see, will be taken in front of the Cove. Sam Cosgrove looms large. He's on the goal line, lurking behind Harrison Devonish-Mears, the Sydney keeper. Really big test here for the Sky Blue defence as the corner comes in. Devonish-Mears gets up and Randall slices it away. It's actually going to stay in. Enough backspin on the ball to take it out for a throw-in rather than a goal kick.
Well, suffice to say, that's not his best effort of the season.
6 goals this campaign for Jesse Randall, including goals away to the Central Coast and Western Sydney Wanderers, so he doesn't mind coming to New South Wales. Tumbling clearance from Vowd. Very difficult to get a head on for Grant. Marley Francois. He's been left in space again here. It's been characteristic of the first 18 minutes that he's been able to move into gaps. It allows him again a free swing it across. This one is overhit, but it's going to connect with the wing back on the opposing side. De Vries hooks it back in. It's winger to winger at the moment. Francois decides to shoot. Enough of the crossing. Auckland immediately looking more dangerous. De Vries. Hugging the line. Sydney shouting that it went out, but the ball stays in. Ocon Jr. back to Popovic. Into a dangerous pass he goes, though. Francois intercepts, and now Vestrata. Gallegos. Randall. Jesse Randall can turn and face here. He's got Cosgrove breaking wide. And another corner coming up for Auckland.
Well, it's a turnover for Sydney that has really irritated, evidently, Ufuk Talay. And the ball in midfield, I think, from a Sydney viewpoint, needed to be played forward earlier and faster. Although Ocon Exler a little bit too conservative when he had the ball. And Auckland have helped themselves to possession and attacked quite swiftly thereafter, with the corner resulting.
Will it be a similar Stacks on the mill at this corner kick? It was a lone Devonish-Mears fist punching it out of a huge pack of players at Auckland's first corner of the night. It looks like more of the same might be in order here. That is, if Marley Francois can put it right on top of this pack. Players inside the net as the corner comes in, but not the ball, as Devonish-Mears bats it down and finds safe passage out of the penalty area. And Campithano immediately dispossessed. Gallegos. Ocon Exler back to Garuccio, and things now calm down for Sydney FC. Switch of play over to Joe Lolly, but De Vries immediately in.
Well, already, Teo, you would forgive Ufuk Talay having in the back of his mind having to account for a dominant period when they had chances that didn't score. That was one of his lamentations post-game on Saturday, which was not an unreasonable reflection. And so fresh off the heels of that disappointing home loss, they've started brilliantly against Auckland, had at least 3 chances to score and haven't. And now Auckland are back in the game, muscling their way back up the field, forcing some turnovers. They've enjoyed a bit more possession the last 5 minutes or so.
And crucially, a bit of territorial advantage as well. Sydney FC now stuck in their defensive half, where a turnover could have been so costly if not for the clean-up work of Popovic. And now Arslan breaks and has Garuccio moving for him. And the cross is sailed high, and you hear the groans around Leichhardt, because that was, again, a decent little break for Sydney FC, not made the most of.
Well, I think people would expect more from Garuccio then, and I can guarantee those same people that Ben would expect more of himself. He has a really cultured left foot. There are a few in the league at the moment. Garuccio's built a career out of his really solid technique and classy left foot. Just all abandoned him on that occasion.
Goodwood Reich steps in. Ocon Exler. It's going to go all the way back to Vowd. Goodwood Reich, an incisive pass. Randall. Space to turn and build a head of steam. He jags inside, sees Francois. And Francois lifts across onto the head of Cosgrove. It skims on. De Vries on his right. And he went for the top right corner. Wide it goes.
Well, as the series of the Sydney attacks less and less ending in an effort on goal, it's the complete reverse for Auckland. They're starting to threaten the Sydney goal directly. Question marks now of Thiago Quintal, who is playing in an interesting role as far as we've watched him. He's come off the bench, a pinch hitter off the bench, playing as a winger or as a 10, but now in a starting team now, playing more inside as a midfielder with more defined defensive responsibilities, and was bypassed in that movement as the ball found its way to Jesse Randall. Some adjustments required from Sydney.
So about a quarter of the way through tonight's action. Still scoreless, but not for a lack of trying, not for a lack of chances. And don't forget, we are now only 12 days away from the AFC Women's Asian Cup kicking off. You can watch every game live on Paramount Plus, starting with the Matildas against the Philippines on the 1st of March. Joe Lolly, early ball, sets Quintal a task. Goodwood Reich, back to his keeper. Without falling off balance. And Daniel Garb makes an excellent spoil to protect the monitors down on the sideline.
Either that or he's trialling for the kill position on a volleyball team. Very dexterous Garby. How you can manage a microphone at the same time as punching the ball to safety. Amazing waste of talent down there.
Lolly gifted a chance by De Vries, who's really wearing Lolly tightly tonight, giving him very little. And even a brief half window of opportunity is closed immediately. However, that pass, not able to get the better of Ryan Grant, and so Quintal's turn. Ocon Jr.
And as Ufuk Talay has rotated things and players over recent weeks, and certainly coming into the game tonight, Auckland Exler has the deep-lying midfield position to himself. From the start of the season, it was he and Reece Yuley playing as twin sixes, if I can put it that way. Here's the foul, Cosgrove.
So the foul's already been given. This was after the whistle had already gone in the aftermath. It looks ugly on the slow-mo, doesn't it?
And a tad intentional, actually.
And the fans have been able to see it on the screen here at Leichhardt Oval. There's Ufuk-Tale's response. Over to the VAR. Kearney Robinson and Sam Kelly. We haven't restarted play, so that's enough of an indication that they're just giving it a look.
And whilst this reflection takes place in the VAR booth, play on. Yeah, the inclusion of Tiago Quintal as a midfielder with Arslan, who's brought here to be an attacking midfielder, has released the formation a little bit. Now, what's acceptable about that, may I ask?
Well, Daniel Garb's got a bird's eye view. Garby, any further chat on the sideline?
To be honest, I'm a little bit surprised at the lack of reaction from the Sydney FC bench. I mean, Auckland, understandably, were keen to get play restarted and were letting the fourth official know in their mind there was nothing in it. But looking at that replay, I think there's a lot of people wondering if that wasn't worth further introspection from the officials. And I'm actually surprised the Sydney FC bench have not launched a louder appeal.
Well, the point is, Garby, there's a lot of weight in what you say, but why should it be up to the benches? Don't benches get in trouble for reacting? Shouldn't the match officials just grab that ball by the horn and review it?
Sydney might make it a secondary point here. Apostolos Stamatolopoulos goes to ground. The fans are baying, and the referee is not obliging. Well, a couple of big flashpoints now.
So, rinse and repeat. Is Girdwood Reich falling out of the way? That was Daniel Elder's immediate assessment. And for the record, I've got less problem with that one than I do for the Cosgrove one.
Both of them ticked off. Referee's on-field call stands. Dan Hall leans into a header. Is this signs of Sydney FC recapturing what they had in the first 10 minutes, where the chances were coming with regularity? Campazano looking to re-engage with the game. Quintal. Joe Lowy. Little drag step and fires the cross onto the head of Girdwood Reich. And a bouncing ball. Quintal gets it under control. Oh, Ocon excellent. Wrong-footed by the pass of Grant. And a window of opportunity here for Auckland to break. Brook wants the speed of Francois. Cosgrove in a tangle in the middle. Francois cuts it inside. And a little toe poke from Cosgrove just wide of the target.
Big escape. Big escape for Sydney. Unusual error from Ryan Grant overhitting that pass. It starts out as a 4v2. Look at Grant making the ground back. Inadvertent contact. Grant and Cosgrove, maybe that put Cosgrove off, but still he regains his feet, and he would have expected more of himself from there.
That would have been 8 in 17 for Cosgrove there had he hit the back of the net. And it would have been goals home and away against Sydney FC. Not to be. Is it Sydney FC's turn to get a run on in transition here? Arslan, Garucho. Can they keep the speed of the attack going, though? Not when Louis Estrada is in the vicinity. And now the Auckland defence and midfield are set behind the ball. Aerial route taken. Hall knocks it down to the advantage of Sakai. He's caught in possession, though. Campazano, good hustle. Has he got a cross to go with it? Blocked. It sits up in the box. And Francois backs his dribbling skill to escape the situation. And then he's robbed from the blind side. Stamatolopoulos tracking back, winning possession. Lolly. Well, he runs into Estrada. And, well, he appeals to the referee, but the ball is leaving in the vicinity. De Vries. Brook. Now Quintal. Tiago Quintal can't free the feet yet. Now he can, and he fires it into Dan Hall. It is going out for a goal kick because Stamatolopoulos was right there to catch a deflection on it.
Well, this kid is so dangerous because he carries the ball at such speed with such short steps, which means he can change that direction. There's a handball picked up by our eagle-eyed crew. They play on. Marley Francois then led the charge but got dispossessed just shy on halfway, and the ball ends up with Tiago Quintal, and you can just see how nervous he makes defenders when he runs at them very fast. There's the ball carrying speed is really impressive.
19 years of age, playing his 32nd A-League game tonight, Tiago Quintal. 3 goals already this season, including that double in the Sydney Derby. And he is one of the leading lights for Sydney FC so far. Gallegos. Brook sees the run of Randall. First touch all important. Randall! Well, he's able to fashion a shot, and Devonish Mears shovels it behind.
That's a very, very good run from Jesse Randall. And Sydney have been caught in behind a few times. He brings it in nicely, and Devonish Mears saves comfortably. In a sort of awkward position for the goalkeeper, but he does very well to defuse that one.
This will be the first time in the game we've seen Francis De Vries go over to the right side for one of his left-footed corners. And as has been the case with Auckland's first 2 of the night, it is a very crowded 6-yard box. Who will get the upper hand? Cosgrove's up, and he's challenging again, but Ocon Exler made the ball his own. And he emerges from defence. Quintal trying to shake Gallegos, a little wrap around the waist. And it is going to be the first yellow card of the game. Felipe Gallegos for the deliberate foul on Tiago Quintal.
Again, letting the ball run beautifully, and Gallegos beaten. Has to get a yellow card, and was prepared for that.
So the first card of the game produced, and it's in midfield for Auckland. We have seen Cam Howison start to up his game time over the course of the season, so maybe the card might put Gallegos nearest to the exit ramp for a second half sub. In the meantime, Verstraete is left, and he's just so laconic and able to draw free kicks when he needs to.
Well, that was well done by Louis, but there's a few other touch and go ones. It's just starting to ensure that the temperature is rising. But you would expect nothing less than a nip and tuck encounter by these 2 teams. Very close in all their games. Even as Auckland have prevailed, the margin has never been big. Although having said that, the football club was pretty happy with the way they performed in the last start 1-0 win over Sydney. One of their better of the season by their account.
Sakai seems to be motioning that he's going to take the long throw here. Cosgrove has planted himself north of the penalty spot. It will take a long throw to get to him from here. Sakai, has he got the distance? Not quite. Lots of push and shove. Popovic heads away. Hall. Sakai is up. Oh, a heavy landing for him. And he stayed down. And the referee's going to whistle play dead.
I cannot agree with this. Why the game has to stop. Now, I think we're all used to referees jumping in if they think there's a head knock. No, he's just landed. I mean, it's play on. And the ball over the top, the fans have been denied a chance for some excitement. I just think they're overzealous on this referees at the moment.
Well, he's... Well, a drop ball to restart play. Sakai runs back to his position. No need to call the trainer. Icon Engstler, promising run by Arslan, brings it down. Hall is there. Gets a crucial touch. Randall, Cosgrove, Vestrata. Slices a pass towards Francois. He's got Garuccio on his case. Quintal. Garuccio. Campazano wants to turn onto his right. Defenders surrounding him now. And it's going to fall kindly. Across the face, Stamatolopoulos trying to use those penalty box instincts to advantage.
Well, they're the moments that announce strikers. We've seen a lot of spectacular entries to the league. Ryan Fraser comes to mind. But it's these half chances that are the bread and butter of strikers. Stamatolopoulos has built a good career. He's got so much football left in him.
And as you can see, after he came off the bench with just Stammer at the weekend, the kit man has been sent back to the printers, and the full Apostolos Stamatolopoulos now on the back of the shirt. Great to see.
Is it?
As someone with a 10-letter last name myself, Harps, yes it is.
You wouldn't like to have Pella on the back of your shirt? Start a new brand.
Well, the only brand that Stamatolopoulos is trading in is being a marksman and a goal scorer, but with a couple of sighters, he's maybe getting closer to marking his return to the A-League by putting one in the net. You feel like the first goal tonight could be so important, especially given some of the chances that have gone begging so far. Sakai. Things slow down. Sydney happy to stand off and wait. Brook. And using his left foot for a darting flat pass, but straight onto the chest of Ryan Grant. And now Alex Grant. Popovic. You can see a hunger from Auckland here. They're hunting the ball. A little deflection here and there, but Sydney FC do have a throw-in. Ryan Grant wasting no time, and he breaks the lines. Great throw-in. Finding Arslan. Volley. He's got a bit of separation on De Vries for one of the few times tonight. Oh, and Icon Engstler's pass a metre or two behind Garuccio.
Frustrating. That's a frustrating miss from Icon Engstler. Sydney have got a lot of change this evening. With a little diagonal ball from about right fullback, right midfield into left midfield, attacking wise. Auckland have not been able to patch that hole up at all, and there's been at least 6 occasions when Sydney have played into that channel. Arslan has received, and they've looked dangerous when opening up the field. But the frustrating thing for Tele and Sydney is that once the penetration has come, they've looked pretty toothless around the penalty area. Save for that one excellent intervention from Michael Vout. They've pretty much just fluffed around.
Well, an aimless pass here that has gifted possession, but no pretense of a short pass here from the Auckland goalkeeper. An aerial duel back and forth. Alex Grant into the back of Cosgrove. Now Dan Hall sets himself. Gallegos can't quite bring it to ground level though. Lolly. Scott Quintal on his outside. Tiago Quintal. Joe Lolly continues the run. Oh, and he tried to swivel onto his non-preferred right foot. Sydney FC are adamant it's their corner, but the result is a goal kick. I think Joe Lolly gave it away. He wasn't appealing for a corner, even though some of his teammates were. Auckland have just sent Logan Rogerson for quite a busy warm-up, and now he's getting a tactical briefing. So whether this is just pre-warning him before the halftime break because he might be appearing soon, or if there's someone under a cloud out there for the visiting side. Watch this space. In the meantime, a heavy collision here. Cosgrove in late. And as we go down to Daniel Garvey, the refereeing has certainly been a hot topic tonight, and apparently some big authorities are here watching on.
That they are, yeah. Sam Cosgrove, the Sydney FC fans haven't forgotten that controversial moment early in the first half, and are getting stuck into him. But there is Jonathan Moss, the head of referees in Australia, and to his right, to the left of your screen, is David Ellery, who is the head of IFAB. So he draws up new rules and so on and so forth. He's here in Australia ready to try out a couple new rules potentially next season when they are to be introduced into world football. But Premier League fans might remember him well. He was one of the biggest names in refereeing throughout the 90s, refereed several FA Cup finals and many a Premier League season. Sent off Roy Keane 4 times, including the most infamous of all, that tackle on Alfinger Haaland.
Thank you, Garvey. I knew you'd have a neat fun fact on David Ellery, but head of IFAB. Okay, so Australia's the incubator. Are we the petri dish of world refereeing harps?
Well, I don't know. How do we get 10 minutes with him to chew his ear off? Or have you already done that, Garvey?
I haven't had the pleasure, but I wouldn't mind asking him about a couple dubious Liverpool decisions from the 90s if he's willing to listen.
Oh dear, I think that's why he might be under heavy guard as we move into the final 90 seconds of regulation in this first half. Goalless, plenty of chances. Can one of these two change the tone of the game in these closing stages? Stamatolopoulos holding off the defenders, and a bustling run from Arslan wins a corner.
Well, it's a long time since Sydney have had the run of the game, that opening 15 minutes, and as we close this half, a corner might be as likely as they get from here until the break.
Stark contrast to how Auckland have taken their corners. Most players congregated at the penalty spot for an in-swinger, which is emphatically headed away by Sakai. Quintal. Garuccio. Arslan, neat 1-2. Quintal's return pass had to be quick. Can Sydney FC keep driving forward, though? They're going sideways at present. Joe Lolly. A sweeping cross, and Verstrata right where Auckland needed him, to the point where he's been able to turn that into a goal kick. Still playing in the customary hand bandage. So just one additional minute to end this first half at Leichhardt. As things stand, the Newcastle Jets, from an even number of games played, 17, would be 4 points clear at the top of the Isuzu UTE A-League table. Auckland would move to 29 with a draw tonight, and Sydney to 26. They would actually jump Adelaide into third on goal difference with a draw. But the rewards for a win are so much greater. Cosgrove. Gallegos. Only seconds left to play with here. Goodwood Reich had to step in. Verstrata, Brook, Francois. There will be one last attack. Sakai. Will Auckland have the time to take this corner kick is the question. Stoppage time expires. You can see De Vries has sprinted over from left back. Ufuk Talay is talking to the fourth official, but De Vries' urgency has been able to convince the referee to let this corner happen. A high looping in swinger. Sakai is up. And as Lolly clears to Randall, the half-time whistle still not coming to Sydney's aid. Dan Hall. A sleigh-living run! And what a moment to end the first half. Dan Hall. No corner to be taken again. 1 minute of stoppage time was enough. And a high point for Harrison Devonish-Mears, keeping the clean sheet intact right on the stroke of half-time. Dan Hall denied what would have been a great solo goal, and just the fourth of his career. Victor Campithano was in the thick of things in the first 10 minutes, but Sydney FC, the chances started to dry up after that. This game is very much in the balance. There's been a few contentious moments, both penalty shouts and red card appeals, but for now, the scoreline is blank. It's Sydney FC 0, Auckland FC 0. On the other side of the break, Daniel Garb and Andy Harper will take you through all the highlights in the first half.
And then Black.
Yeah, level at the break between Sydney FC and Auckland at Leichhardt Oval, 0-0. But it has been a clash befitting of the table positions of Auckland FC and Sydney FC. Second against third, plenty of action, plenty of chances, but so far wasted from both sides. Welcome to the Hungry Jacks halftime show. Plenty of football coming up this week on Paramount Plus. Asian Champions League action tomorrow night. Melbourne City up against Gangwon. Melbourne City already through to the knockout stages. A fantastic achievement for them. In ACL 2, round of 16 action, the second leg on Thursday night. MacArthur have work to do. Down 2-0 from the first leg against Bangkok United. And then it's the Melbourne Derby on Saturday night. We can't wait for it. That will be the highlight of a big weekend of A-League action. But a massive second 45 coming up from here at Leichhardt Oval. Andy Harper, I'll let you. What have you made of that first half? It's had plenty of action.
Big first half. Two teams flexing their muscles. They've obviously, as per the scoreboard, they've found it difficult to break through, but they haven't found necessarily difficult to create some chances. Both teams have had plenty of sights on goal. I'd say Sydney would be the more frustrated with their wastefulness, and as the half went on, Auckland looked more and more strong. So, I mean, it was the first half that delivered as expected, minus the goals, and I think the second half we can rightly expect this arm wrestle to continue and be very, very watchable.
Let's take a look at the Harvey Norman highlights. It was all Victor Campuzano early on in this contest. He had plenty of opportunities. The Spaniard, they were spurned though.
Well, the ball was following him. He did very well to make this chance for himself. Very clever piece of play to win possession, but then the finish was poor. This was poor as well. I mean, that's a real gift. Now, it's not maybe not on his correct side. He's sensibly a left-footer, but he's very capable on his right foot. And with his background and his experience, the last thing he should be doing there is find legs. At least make the goalkeeper save. He does extraordinarily well here, though. That's a fantastic adjustment from the Spaniard. 2 to get the cobwebs out. The third one he actually aimed up for, but then couldn't account for the brilliance of Michael Vowd in goal.
Excellent save from the Auckland goalkeepers. The Sydney FC dominating possession. But Auckland have certainly got back into that half the longer it went on. But perhaps they were fortunate to still have 11 players on the park. A couple of big controversies in that first half. We'll start with the Sam Cosgrove incident.
Yeah.
Worthy of a red for you?
Do you know, I'm not sure if the action is that violent to deserve a straight red, but it's at least a yellow card. And I mean, it doesn't get any better the way you look at it. I just don't know how it's escaped sanction, any sort of sanction. It's completely got me bamboozled. I don't know. What else do you say, Garvey? How you escape that is beyond explanation.
You could argue that he leaves the foot in there a touch and he knew what he was doing. But it wasn't reviewed to the extent where Daniel Elder was asked to go and look at the screen, which is a bit surprising.
Maybe that was the point. You know, maybe because you can't give a yellow card on, we're told anyway, on a VAR review, and maybe the people in the box thought it hasn't quite hit the threshold of a red card, so we better let it go. Either way, it's a really bad look. I mean, whatever the bureaucracy is and the official processes between point A and point B, that's not a great look.
There are many who have played the game, no matter what standard, that will say he knew what he was doing. That's often the moniker that gets thrown around when you see an incident like that. Perhaps he did. I guess we'll never know.
Wow.
Unless Sam Cosgrove tells the story another time. What about this one? This was a real shout of strength for a penalty from Sydney FC that was also waved away.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure. It's really hard to see if Girdwood Reich has taken the legs or Stamatolopoulos has fallen in with his own momentum. So, I mean, it's a tough gig. We're not sure how comprehensive the replays were. Of course, you can make anything look like anything on a slow-mo. As I said in the call, I'm actually more miffed that the Cosgrove one didn't receive some sort of attention than that penalty. That's one of these ones that comes or goes.
The Sydney FC will feel hard done by in the sheds right now. It didn't bother Auckland too much. They worked their way into the half nicely after being behind the pace early on and had some really good chances.
Well, I think you spoke to this from the sideline when we crossed you, Garby, about how after the opening 15 or 20 minutes and Sydney couldn't find their way, Auckland then found themselves. And you reported Steve Corica's gesticulations, his attitude from the technical area, his anger from the technical area. And it seemed to work a treat. The players, if they needed it, certainly responded. The game was far more even. And in support of Auckland, they actually, when the field opened up, probably looked a little more threatening than Sydney did when it was their turn to do the same sort of thing. So it's a bit of a mystery how there's no goals so far here at Leichhardt on this beautiful evening. But I think the second half will deliver.
It's a really big second half for Sydney FC, isn't it? Because Now, they lost on Saturday night against Adelaide in a contest that's perhaps a little bit similar to this one. Both sides having chances, Sydney couldn't take them. I mean, if they failed to win this one, it'd be one win in their last 6. Now, yes, that's the derby. Yes, they're still in third, but that would be a concerning form line.
Well, their form basically hasn't been bad. So the result line is not, it's not tickling anyone's fancy from a Sydney viewpoint, but the form has shown that they can, certainly tonight, they should be probably leading the match. And there was times on Saturday night against Adelaide when they probably could hang their hat on a couple of hooks and say, we score, then we win the game. So the big thing is now getting into the Champions League position.
Yeah.
And if they don't win tonight, there's nine games to play. Newcastle will be 4 or 5 points clear of them. Are we expecting them to drop that many points? I don't know. They've got to win tonight, the Sky Blues.
It's a wonderful night to watch some football, that's for sure, and it's been entertaining. A massive second 45 coming up with huge stakes attached. And of course, we are not too far away from our Matildas being in action on home soil in the Women's Asian Cup. It's all on Paramount Plus.
There's so many things I love about football. The way it brings people together.
We all play the same language of football.
It's just sweat that fills your eyes.
And I think that this could be a really special tournament for us.
When you unite together for that one goal, it's something special that you just cannot get anywhere else.
Cara Cooney cross thinks about the long shot and she finds it! That is special! Huge moment for the Matildas.
The only place to see the Combank Matildas and every game of the AFC Asian Cup is on Paramount Plus.
A beautiful night at Leichhardt Oval and perfect weather to take the family out to watch some Isuzu UTE League men's. No goals so far, but plenty of entertainment, plenty of incident, and plenty at stake as well. Tiago Quintal leading the Sydney FC team back out onto the pitch. And Apostolos Stamatolopoulos looking for that first goal on his return to the A-League. His first start tonight. And it will continue into the second half here. Auckland back out of the rooms. We've been given word that Logan Rogerson will be coming on. We saw him getting the tactical briefing right at the end of the first half, and it's going to be Marley Francois making way, who was one of the standouts for Auckland in that first 45. But on comes Rogerson, 1 goal against Sydney FC back in April, the 2-2 draw. But he's yet to score this season. So is tonight the night for him? First sub of this contest. Sydney FC happy to stick with the 11 that started the game, including Joe Lolly, who's been in a duel with Francis de Vries. He's playing as the left-footed winger over on the right, and de Vries has largely kept him out of threatening areas so far in the game. Will Lolly have a moment, though? It only takes one. 24 degrees at kickoff and still reasonably warm and seasonal for mid-February. Auckland return home to New Zealand to take on a New Zealand derby this weekend, while Sydney FC will be at Allianz Stadium at home for the Raudit against Brisbane Roar. But right now, there are 45 minutes of action to settle this contest. Sydney FC and Auckland FC kick off at the start of the second half 0-0. And Andy Harper, as you rejoin me, Marley Francois had a good first half, so there might be something wrong with him for him to have to make way for Logan Rogerson here.
Yeah, possibly, or maybe just not clinical enough with the chances he had, and maybe Corica is looking and demanding that edge. Good first half, goalless. But I don't think that's going to be the status quo at full time. Certainly not if the players can reprise their attitude from the first half. Goals will certainly flow here in this key match. Battle of the heavyweights in the Isuzu UTE A-League. Auckland, who've made a stunning start to life as a professional football club.
Great ball from de Vries here. And now the cutback is on. Oh, the step over, what an introduction that could have been from Rogerson. He didn't make goal-bound contact. Brook. And he's closed down by Ocon Jr. And now Capithano leading a counter-attack here. The crowd rise. Stamatolopoulos ahead of the ball. And he receives the pass now. And leaves it behind. Dan Hall sweeps in to clean up.
Well defended by Auckland as this opened up. Mind you, they should have taken the lead. Goodness me. That's another huge escape for Sydney, and they patched things up at the other end as Sydney raided. Capithano looking to link with Stamatolopoulos.
You can see the 11s appearing at the base of your screens there of who's on the pitch. 1 card in that first half. It was for Felipe Gallegos of Auckland, but he has returned for the second half here. There's the Cove. They are now down in the left corner at the end that Sydney FC are attacking in this second half. Cosgrove drawn very deep into defence. Hall, a scooped clearance. Popovic. Rogerson, and now Cosgrove. Dan Hall. And Rogerson hooking the ball off the line, keeping it in. Through comes Vestrata. Brook. First time pass, perfectly measured. And now Randall sees the run of de Vries. And Ryan Grant stuck right with him. Tracked him all the way. Now Randall backtracking in earnest. Popovic looking for an opening, decides to go wide. Quintal. Popovic sees the diagonal on. Garuccio. O'Connor. Ryan Grant. And De Vries clears. No time wasted over the throw-in. Garuccio. Dan Hall. And now Campazano. Garuccio. It breaks central. Stamatolopoulos. And it flashes through the 6-yard box. Out for a Sydney FC throw-in.
I think this one was mitted away by Michael Vowd. Garuccio needed it on his left foot. Stamatolopoulos takes it on his right, and it was palmed away.
Lolly saved by Vowd. Great technique from the Englishman. Ryan Grant, overhead kick attempted and missed. Arslan went for the spectacular. Garuccio, can he free his left peg? Not on this occasion. O'Connor wheels around. Volley. O'Connor, and now a corner kick of Sakai.
Oh, it's good football from Sydney. Great goalkeeping from Michael Vowd, who's getting a couple of little low fives from his teammates. And Sydney came back for seconds. Arslan with the specky. Garuccio now with the corner.
Sydney having a good spell. Garuccio right onto the head of Cosgrove. Ryan Grant nods it on. And Lolly just a little slow to get back on side. So similar to the first half, where Sydney FC created the better of the chances in the first 10 minutes. There's an Auckland player down here. And as the ball ends up in the gloves of Harrison Devonish-Mears, is Sam Cosgrove. Oh, the referee waves for him to get up, so he's on his haunches. Still looking proppy as he lumbers back into the action. Crunching challenge. Quintal. Referee gets nutmegged to Arslan. Back to Tiago Quintal. Fires a shot. Girdwood Reich off the shins. Joe Lolly goes to work. And a diving header from Hall. Only as far as O'Connor. And Verstrata takes the ball away. Is the counter-attack on? It's off the heels of Alex Grant, keeping it away from Jesse Randall.
Well, that was either insanely brilliant from Alex Grant or a complete accident. Either way, Sydney come again.
Could be the launch of a goal-scoring move. It's going to be a corner.
Great start to the half. Steve Corrick has seen enough of Sydney's effervescent play. 2 subs ready to come on.
He won't make them while defending a corner, though. Guillermo Mai and Cam Howison, the 2 players waiting in the wings, but they've got to defend this corner first. Sydney FC on top. Can they turn it into the opening goal? An in-swinging corner, which is dealt with again by Cosgrove. He's getting through a lot of defensive work at present. Here he is on cue once more. Rogerson. He's going to sprint here and take on O'Connor, but Junior's got the sit and plays it back to Devonish-Mears. He rips out a pass. Campazano is coming from an onside position here, so Sakai had to take him seriously. And Ufaktale explodes off the bench in anger at the free kick.
Great experience from Hiroki Sakai. Just positioning himself, sensing the contact, and then amplifying the impact of that contact, leaving the ref with no option. Quiet night for Lockie Brook has come to an end.
And a sub we flagged when the yellow card happened in the first half. Howison on for Gallegos. So that is now 7 times Lockie Brook has taken on Sydney FC. Still yet to find the back of the net against them. Not his night, as you say, Harps, but Guillermo Mai, the Uruguayan, with just 1 goal in 15 appearances this season. Oh, dear.
We had a bit of a look at him too then, Arslan. He's the first there to pick the player out of the wreckage. Hope there's no damage to the camera. Jeez.
Well, that's why they have the padding around them.
There's no padding around the lens. It nearly got him right in the sternum. Very quick to appear apologetic. Arslan, give him the benefit of the doubt.
Garuccio in space. Decides to go back to his keeper and reset here. Cosgrove directing the traffic behind him. Trying to coordinate the press. A few new faces have joined it. Goodwood Reich the header. Howison first involvement. Lolly backtracking. Brian Grant. Grant strikes the pass with conviction, and Goodwood Reich gives away the free kick. Auckland thought it was theirs. Vestrada was convinced it was play on, but no, the free kick is going Sydney's way. So Guillermo Mai has slotted in a front 2 next to Sam Cosgrove. You can see him leading the press here. Randall joins him. Steve Corica definitely asking for some new energy from his subs, having brought them on here. Rogerson, one of that trio that's entered the game since half-time. Vestrada, and now Mai. What can he do on the ball? Not quite to the advantage of Randall, but his drag step keeps the ball at his feet. And now the Sydney FC team close in. Lowy. Oh, not able to find an opening.
No, but the effort very much appreciated by the home fans. Joe Lolly there.
Crossfield pass is going to be intercepted here. Rogerson. He's legged by Alex Grant. Incidental contact, says the referee. No foul.
Grant is claiming he got the ball. If that's not a free kick, what on earth is? Really?
You imagine that decision may have sounded very different at Go Media Stadium rather than here at Leichhardt Oval. No one really to lead the charge in terms of the noise of affirmation. Guillermo Mai. Auckland have locked their focus right back in on trying to up the tempo here and match Sydney's start to this second half. Mai. Vestrada unleashes a perfect diagonal. It's going to hit DeVries in stride. DeVries, Randall, and he misses Cosgrove. Ocon Exler in the right place. Sakai takes Campithano to ground. Now Vestrada comes in to help out. Campithano still hustling, but the numbers got the better of him. Sakai sweeps in a ball and held onto by Devonish Mears. And he's proppy here, Hiroki Sakai. Is it cramp? Is it more? Sydney are going to show no mercy. He's out of position, Sakai. Oh, Campithano slows things down. Sakai has now risen back up to a jog. Maybe just a temporary scare for the veteran Japanese. On the other side of the pitch, Joe Lolly goes to work. Arslan shoots and held onto by Vowd, and Apostolos Stamatolopoulos was there waiting for a spill.
That's really comfortable work from Michael Vowd. Nice from Sydney. Arslan backing himself, doesn't get a huge amount of power on the shot, but it pitched at just that potentially awkward length. Michael Vowd very safe.
And this will draw cheers from the home fans. Sam Cosgrove finds himself in the referee's book.
And I'm going to say it's 2 incidents late. Sam Cosgrove would have been muted by now if he got a yellow card for either of his challenges in the first half. At any rate, he decided to push it as far as he could. Why wouldn't you?
So Cosgrove with a yellow card to his name. Sydney FC on the move. Garuccio over the head of the unmarked Arslan. Agonising. Cosgrove straight back into the thick of the action. Rogerson. Sakai showing no ill effects from that moment of concern that had him reaching for his left calf barely 2 minutes ago. Quintal. Lolly able to run at De Vries. And De Vries able to dispossess him again. Grant. And theatrical going to ground from Sakai. Garuccio whips it back in. And it's just wide of the post. And that was textbook Apostolos Stamatolopoulos, the way he attacked the ball.
Just textbook, just missing a page. The page where the ball goes in the net. That was good refereeing from Daniel Elder. He wasn't buying it for a second what Hiroki Sakai was selling. And he makes good ground and should have nailed the header, really. Are you talking about one of the better headers of the ball of the current generation? And again, a chance comes for Sydney. It's a great leap from Cosgrove. Have a go at that.
Let's go down to Garby. Garby is getting spicy down on the sidelines.
That it is. This is a great place to be on a beautiful Tuesday night in February in Sydney. The pace of the game has been maintained from that first half. Plenty of chances, but the intensity all around Leichhardt Stadium right now is lifted. Steve Corica, first and foremost, setting the tone. Not happy with the officiating right now, despite getting some lucky breaks perhaps in that first half. But the crowd's getting into it. The players are certainly getting stuck into each other. It's physical from the pitch side vantage point at the moment, right out there on the pitch. So this is great viewing. Second versus third. And it's been a fantastic football game so far. It's being maintained in the second half.
Sure is. All it's missing is a goal. Maybe a moment of quality to deliver such a goal. Quintal is being pursued here by Cosgrove. Has really got to be careful now. The referee holds the whistle. Quintal pleads his case. And that is going to be Sam Cosgrove's night over. And Nando Peinecker is coming on for him here. He's been out since the 31st of January when he got injured away to Perth. There's another look at Cosgrove's last involvement, and we're not going to see him in the derby next week because it's his 5th yellow card of the season halves. So he has now accumulated enough for a 1-game suspension.
Well, he was a central character in this one. A lot of defensive headers from corners, excellent. I just wonder if Stevie Corica was reading tea leaves there and thought this is only going to end up one way. He misses next week anyway by yellow card accumulation.
He's had a pretty big say in his derbies so far, so I'm sure the Wellington fans and their coach, Giancarlo Italiano, will be updating their weekend plans accordingly. What about Auckland? How will they change their plans and their point of attack now? Peinecker has gone on into his customary centre-back position. pass here to Val. Well, it has seemingly been to create a back five, so maybe we can expect to see De Vries and Sakai a bit more attacking when Auckland are in possession, but for now, out of possession. You can see that line of five across the defence now that Peinecker has joined them. And it leaves Guillermo Mai as the centre forward to forage on his own. Campuzano. Goodwood Reich. Hall's got to be careful. There are players in his vicinity. And Sakai can't connect with Rogerson. De Vries. Sakai to shouts of handball. Rogerson piles in on Campuzano. They're back to their feet.
Well, that was a terrific effort from Campuzano, who's certainly had the fire lit under him. He missed those chances. Actually, it's fairer to say he missed a couple and had one brilliantly saved.
Arslan goes to ground. And as has been the case on all the penalty shouts tonight, Daniel Elder is quick to wave it away. Are we moving into territory where one goal will be enough? So much football still to be played, but is it now a case where simply taking the lead could be decisive, or will it light a touch paper and see this game spring to life?
I know there's no science behind this comment, Teo, but I get your view on it. The more you bend Auckland but don't break them, the more likely they are to win a football match. It's just got that feel about it.
Piero Quispe is now bib off, sitting on the end of the bench, getting his final tactical briefing. The Peruvian not far away. Auckland are attacking in the meantime. Verstrata. This combination with De Vries has been promising at times. However, this one is fumbled out. And the apology comes from Francis De Vries. Garuccio turning into trouble against Rogerson, and the referee's whistle comes to his aid.
Got himself into a bit of trouble there, did Ben Garuccio, bailed out by the ref.
Popovic. And that crossfield pass almost directed to Piero Quispe, who hasn't entered the game. And it won't be at this throw-in either. Sydney just keeping their powder dry on the sub. Howison. De Vries in space. And he drifts forward here. Rogerson in the pocket. Sakai advancing. Hiroki Sakai with the cross. Randall nods it down. De Vries. Oh, Verstrata. And did it catch a deflection? It did. Corner kick.
Maybe a change of mind on the Sydney bench. Piero Quispe has put the bib back on. Meanwhile, Auckland attack. Sakai sticks it up at the back post. It's a poor header, but still finds a teammate. Not a lot of zest in that from Verstrata, who's been strong again tonight. It's Corey Holman who's having the bib taken off.
So while Sydney sort out who they want to enter the game, their priority on the grass is defending this De Vries corner. In swinger, Devonish Mears bats it. And then Arslan heading only as far as Randall, but he's fouled. He's crunched in doing so. And he stays down here.
Well done from Devon Ishmears. And May had committed to the ball and then was in that no man's land position. Clear foul. No histrionics going with it, which is pleasing to see. Sydney come away. Time ticks. Pressure builds. Sydney so desperate for a win. Auckland, with their own interests, of course, looking to clip the lead of the Newcastle Jets with a full haul of points here.
Stamatolopoulos brings the ball down in a contest with Hall and laid off by Lolly. Arslan, look at the numbers piling forward here. Garuccio in space. Garuccio cuts it across. Quintal attempted the little drag step over shot. And it's hustled away.
Great attack, great chance again. Not an overly convincing finish from Quintal.
Okoneksler. Well, he just hung it up for grabs and Sakai headed it away. Rogerson. The pass not able to match the endeavour. Lolly takes over, splits the defence. Stamatolopoulos! Good save by Vowd.
That's a great save. It's a good run off the shoulder from Stamatolopoulos. He shoots at the first time of asking. It's behind Vowd and low, and he saves brilliantly. The Auckland keeper. Here's the effort before Tiago Quintal. Trying for the cheeky. Trying to channel Mark Viduka at the Atlanta Olympics. Not a bad player to try and channel.
Slightly different stature, but the idea a bright one. In swinging corner. Oh, Ryan Grant puts it wide at the back post. First to the ball. Hasn't scored since December of 2024, Ryan Grant.
Well, we had a good chance on Saturday. Side footer with the left foot. Missed the goal at the Paddington end at the football stadium, and he rises high. As Ryan Grant heads wide. Another good chance for Sydney.
Girdwood Wright goes to ground, but he did connect to the pass. Sakai. Vestrata. And Rogerson put it too close to the line. Perhaps you can understand why Sydney held off on the sub here. Maybe Uvutale saw something that his team was about to produce this surge that they have.
Corey Holman's got his bib back on as well. Now it's coming off. Now it's staying on. Sometimes it's more fun commentating on what's happening in the technical area.
Maybe the cat and mouse on the sideline has just got a few players out there playing on edge like it could be their last involvement in the game. Sydney FC have really stepped it up here in the last 4 or 5 minutes. And as we have a look at that replay, Louis Vestrata favouring his left ankle. Watch this space. He's walking, but
Gingerly.
the sub now does go through, and it's Victor Campazano, who could have had a very different night had one of the chances that fell his way hit the net in the first 10 minutes. And Corey Holman comes on.
Yeah, plenty of energy tonight from Campazano. Substitution will see Arslan push a little further forward. He and Stamatolopoulos.
Well, boots off, flags up, and even though Stamatolopoulos was appealing that he was fouled, he was in an offside position. And a a good call from the referee, Luke Gianamatis.
Yeah, very good. And it's certainly worth keeping an eye on Verstrata. That was a great tick-up by the Eagle Eyes, running our cameras with that rolled ankle. It's moving pretty freely at the moment. He's such a key part of the Auckland team. Has been very good again tonight.
Howison, Sakai. Oh, put it into a duel. Aslan to Quintal. Crossfield ball, Lolly. Nods it down to the new face in Holman. And Holman sets Lolly away. Joe Lolly engages De Vries. He's now got Randall guarding him as well. Support in the form of Grant. And De Vries stops the pass. Pinecker, De Vries, Randall, high risk, but Auckland are going to escape their defensive half. The referee signals advantage for the foul on Howison. And Jesse Randall is working through the gears. Now he decelerates. Guillermo Mai was waiting at the edge of the box, but Auckland happy to knock it around. Long chain of passes here. Almost every Auckland player has had a touch in this move. But have they done enough to drag anyone from Sydney out of position? The defence is set behind the ball. Verstrata. Now Rogerson. Sakai is only option wide. Girdwood Reich. Louis Verstrata again. Ocon Engsler all over him. Too much so, says the referee. Belatedly, Piero Quispe is now walking up to the halfway line next to the fourth official, but once again, he is going to go through the rigmarole of waiting for an Auckland set piece before he gets to enter the game. And the same goes for Al Hassan Toure, now as part of what will be a Sydney double sub if they go ahead with it. De Vries. Randall made a clever run. Into the box he dashes. Randall over the bar.
Well, given Jesse Randall's form this year, Norm was expecting Devonish Mears to have some work. And he cut inside. He's so sharp across the ground. He gets rid of Arslan very easily. That was his last moment of the game. Receiving a nice warm acknowledgement from the fans here at Leichhardt.
So Ahmed Arslan comes off for Piero Quispe, and Joe Lolly, who is still building his minutes on the way back from injury. A midweek game on a quick turnaround from the weekend. Good signs. But his night comes to an end, and Al Hassan Toure is on for the first time since the 3rd of January. Sorry. He's had to bide his time coming back here. So Quispe coming on as a sub. Can he show us something a little different? Quintal, beautiful spin on the ball. Looks up and still sees plenty of Auckland players to have to pass. Garuccio. Quispe. Ryan Grant. Toure. And Holman. Oh, Holman showed too much of the ball to Howison. Pinecker. De Vries. It will be an Auckland throw. Vestrada trying to stride through the Sydney midfield single-handedly. He goes to ground. Alex Grant, Piero Quispe, lots of touches off the bench. Now he turns and plays forward. Stamatolopoulos. Toure. Quintal. Well, Garucho was breaking back towards his position at left back rather than herring forward, so uncontested collect here for Sakai. Mai willed himself onto the ball, kept it in. Is it going to be to his team's advantage? No, it's not. Sydney FC come away with possession. Ocon Jr. Now Grant. Al Hassan Toure. And Quispe. Still Piero Quispe, Al Hassan Toure, the subs linking up. And Vestrada interrupts, breaks up the play. And that is textbook from him. Randall, Mai. How daring will Auckland be in these final 10 minutes away from home? Girdwood Reich, Cam Howison. Pinecker working the left side now. De Vries from deep on the wing. A sweeping cross. Rogerson up and a long way from the target to attempt to head it. Toure, return ball. Ocon Exler. Well, he went to ground and put his hands on the ball, but the referee did agree he was fouled to get there. So here's what the ladder looks like at present. It would be the Newcastle Jets 4 points clear from the same number of games played if this scoreline holds. Rogerson, nice little sidestep, and he can break into open field here. Indecisive about whether to go central or to the right, and he gets his pocket picked by Quispe as a result.
Well, the game grinding in one sense to a really intense battle, 20 metres either side of halfway. And any inklings of going forward are either met with a pretty committed or resolute defence or a bit of sloppiness in attack. Bad decision, and it's on that edge that the game sits.
Sakai's long throw, flick header on by Pinecker. Holman clears. De Vries. And now the whistle goes, and it goes in Sydney's favour. See there, Howison grabbing onto Quispe. Ball was punted forward down to the attacking end, but Auckland, well, Pinecker's given possession straight back here. It's been a game crying out for a clinical moment of execution. So many subs have now entered the game. Is one of them going to have the sharpness here to take all 3 points for their team? Holman. Garucho, underlapping run from Quintal. He's got two opponents right on his case, and it's out for a corner kick.
Good pack defending. by Auckland, but it does present the corner. And Sydney get Auckland's defence to wilt once from a set piece.
Garuccio. Outswinging corner, and Alex Grant saw the pitch of the ball, but just beyond a potential lunge. Ryan Grant has retrieved it on the opposite side. Kisbay able to open some space here. Kisbay drops it in, and the goal arrives for Sydney FC. Alexander Popovic, the unlikely hero. It could be a season shaper in this battle of the heavyweights.
Well, on the Harvey Norman replay, it did come from a corner, but not directly. He's been great on returning to the starting 11, Alexander Popovic. But it's the skipper links with the chastened Piero Kisbay, who finds the ball. And he drops it beautifully onto the head of Alexander Popovic, who glances magnificently. And the team has won, minus Kisbay, interestingly. Celebrate on the sideline, and the Peruvian made his way straight back to halfway to get ready for the next phase of business. A very strong game from Popovic, and that is a decent cherry on top of that particular cake.
First goal in sky blue. First time he scored in the A-League since December 2023 when he was at Adelaide United. And it would be just his third career goal in 65 games if VAR ticks it off. Andy Harper, does that look all right to you?
Well, from the angle we've got, given how close some of these calls are, that's not even close.
Sydney fans full of voice, hoping that Auckland will kick off here. Kisbay, it's his first assist in 8 games, his third of the season. Oh, the Cove, they're up, they're happy. It's quite the delay, everyone going through it here.
Well, we've got David Ellery, the head of IFAB. Maybe he can talk why effectively in line with the defender is now offside by a millimetre. And the longer this goes, the more that seems to be the likely outcome.
Well, I don't see clear or obvious. It appears as though he was all right. Futale and Hiroki Sakai can afford themselves a smile and a laugh, but this is high stakes. This is potentially season shaping here. It's given, it stands, and Alexander Popovic, yep, he points to the head and says, all right, switch on, concentrate. A big home stretch coming up here for the home side. Our Sydney FC about to record their first competitive win against Auckland as we see the geometry. The goal stands. That's the bottom line. It's Sydney FC 1, Auckland FC 0. And Auckland now chasing a deficit with only minutes to play with. Kisbay, how important has his involvement been? Quintal. With the 1-goal lead in pocket, do you think we see a dramatic change in mindset from Sydney?
Well, no. You know, they'll just keep playing, but you can't discount Auckland.
terrific tonight, Val. 2 saves of exceptional standard and a couple of others more routine, but still very good.
Yeah, conceding not enough to knock him off the top of the Paramount Plus player index. Callan Elliott is going to be thrown on here by Steve Corica, and it's going to be for Hiroki Sakai. He's going to hand the captain's armband over to Louis Vestrada before he takes his leave. So 90 seconds of regulation plus whatever stoppage time remains. Go and do something. Callan Elliott. He comes on here for his 14th appearance of the season. Garuccio drives the ball across to Al-Hassan Toure. And now Kispe. Stamatolopoulos will chase his first touch. De Vries. Grant with the throw in. Kispe. Okonexla clips the ball over to the run of Garuccio. Garuccio jags inside. Quintal extracted a shot. Alex Grant follows up. It's the last minute of the 90, and Sydney FC are trying to put this one to bed. Garuccio, Quintal. And he runs out of real estate. Guillermo Mai. Can he get something going for Auckland here? He's had his ankles tapped by Kispe. So Kispe draws a yellow card as we enter 5 additional minutes to finish the night.
So defender Jordan Courtney-Perkins about to come on. Looking to close the door. Sydney and protect this lead. This free kick is going to be a really tense one for the home team. And a rare break from convention. The substitution is going to be made during the set piece. Hence the need to get the extra defender on.
Apostolos Stamatolopoulos would have shown the fans plenty tonight. Some half chances, some, you'd almost say, clear cuts, and evidence that he is close to refinding the scoring touch in the A-League. And his first start since joining Sydney FC ends in stoppage time as Courtney-Perkins comes sprinting on with one job, and that is lockdown on this 1-0 lead. He goes straight to marking Dan Hall. Francis De Vries, we know he can make magic with that left foot. The free kick here. And Courtney-Perkins, an inspired sub, he heads it away with his first involvement in the game. Pinecker, Howison, and now Callan Elliott in a yard of space. But it's all Sydney FC at the fall of the ball. Holman finds Al-Hassan Toure. Listen to the crowd rise. They want Sydney to go end to end. Toure, he's got 3 defenders surrounding him, and he just drives the ball without a deflection after a goal kick.
Well, that was a bit of a thoughtless end to an exciting possibility from Al-Hassan Toure. It's pretty much just turning the ball over.
Pinecker's been thrown forward. Randall! Saved by Devonish Mears, and Ryan Grant just kicks it away into the night sky, conceding a corner.
And you'd imagine that Al-Hassan is pretty relieved that that ball was hacked away, because Auckland didn't need to have the ball at all. They get the corner. As good as for them at the moment. No Cosgrove.
Well, that's really cheeky by Paul O'Connor-Exler, because there was a second ball on the pitch, and he accidentally, on purpose, just kicked it into territory that the corner taker here had to go and clear the ball away. Randall. It's all happening inside the net. Popovic in a wrestle as the corner comes swinging in. Devonish Mears palms it down. Howison hoping for Randall. Randall onto the ball. Still Jesse Randall. And the shot is an anticlimax.
Well, under enough pressure, excellently chased by Ben Garuccio to just not be set when he shot. He's been the life raft on plenty of occasions so far this year. Jesse Randall, great season so far. Hadn't had his shooting boots on tonight, but he was under serious pressure from the excellent Ben Garuccio. Sydney edge closer. What a titanic struggle this one has been.
And Harrison Devonish-Mears is going to wind every second he's allowed before driving this along. De Vries wins the header. Vestrada. Randall from a standing start, clips it down the line. Mai. Okonexla. And the clearance comes. And that ball is going to stay in long enough that Dan Hall can run it down. And we tick into the 5th minute of additional time. Goodwood Reich. Up the middle he goes. Mai. Pinnaker. And in. A cruel deflection. Auckland get their equalizer at the death. Logan Rogerson made it happen. Makeshift centre forward Nando Pinnaker was all important. Relief for Steve Corica. Heartbreak for Sydney FC.
Well, Harvey Norman replay. Geez, they're made of strong stuff, Auckland. Ryan Grant just can't quite get to the ball. Great save from Devonish-Mears. And they just get in each other's way. Accidentally, Sydney, Auckland forced and pushed. I mean, the problem of the last couple of attacks was up the field. Sydney just didn't offer anything to try and retrieve the ball and take some heat out of the game. They just conceded the possession to Auckland. They lumped it forward and they won the day.
And it will go down as an Alex Grant own goal. 90+5. Is there enough time for the latest of smash and grabs? Randall. Still Jesse Randall. It's there to be won. And Devonish-Mears, Courtney Perkins and Rogerson are in a scuffle off the ball. There was shirt grabbing galore, but equally measured in the eyes of the referee. Sydney FC now. How much longer does the night continue? We almost don't want it to end. It has come to life very, very late. Is there time for the Sky Blues? Not with that pass from Holman. Kisbeh able to beat Vestrada here. Kisbeh, and now Toure. Al-Hassan Toure, no power behind the shots. We've played 6 additional minutes and still we continue. But that is that. What a night. Auckland able to salvage a point. And Alex Grant, the ball booted into him by his teammate. Not much he could have done. It'll be his name on the score sheet. And football is cruel for Sydney FC tonight. Alexander Popovic with his first sky blue goal. Thought he was going to be the match winner. But the defence ultimately couldn't hold out. Nando Pinnaker thrown forward in an inspired move by Steve Corica, and Logan Rogerson just creating a presence, creating the panic. And it was enough for the ball to be bundled in with one of the final plays of the night. A night that ends Sydney FC 1, Auckland FC 1. So what it does to the table is we see the two goalkeepers congratulating each other. The Newcastle Jets are 4 points clear at the top of the Isuzu UTE League men's after 17 games played. They've got 33 points, Auckland 29, and Sydney FC, they move above Adelaide United on goal difference only tonight. They're on 26 along with the Reds. It is such a tight table, such an enthralling race for the premiership. And these two teams perhaps well aware that they're going to meet again in finals. But right now their focus is on being first past the post. Tiago Quintal, he did everything he could out there tonight. But ultimately it was the story of two Sydney FC defenders. Daniel Garb is down amongst the aftermath. Take it away.
That I am. Thank you very much. Michael Vowd is with me, the Auckland goalkeeper. Michael, what do you make of that? Some fortune, it must be said, with the equaliser, but it was a frantic game. How relieved are you to come away with the point?
Yeah, I think we're really relieved. I think Sydney were a lot better than the team that we played at home. So yeah, we're obviously happy with a point after conceding so late. But yeah, Sydney are a great team, and yeah, I think a point away from home is a good result for us.
What does it say about your fight? It felt like it was 3 points heading Sydney's way when Popovic headed them in front. What does it say about your resilience and your belief that you're able to come away with something?
Yeah, I think we always work to the final whistle. I think this season we've had the other side of that a few times, so it's nice to be able to get one this time.
It's such an important point, isn't it? I mean, things are so even behind the Newcastle Jets at the moment. What do you make of that and how tense all of these games are?
Oh, well, every game's a final now, you know. I think it's great for the competition, it's great for the league. But yeah, every game's a final, and, you know, that goal at the end might just help us in the long run. 9
saves for you. You must be happy with your personal performance.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm just happy to be able to help the team and, you know, get a result in the end.
Thanks, Michael. All the best.
Thanks, man. Cheers. Thank you.
Talk about the Auckland goalkeeper. Apostolos Stamatolopoulos has been good enough to join us as well. Appa, commiserations. I know you come away with a point, but my goodness, you must have felt like this is your first 3 points in a Sydney FC shirt, and that one must hurt late.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially I'd take my part, should have scored at least 2 there and made the game a lot easier. So, yeah, we'll pick ourselves up and move on. We've got an important game Saturday.
2 games in a row where you've had some really bad luck, a little deflection, and Harrison Devonish-Mears obviously would have liked to have done a bit better against Adelaide, and then that is, you know, just such an odd own goal. And you must be thinking, what do we have to do to get 3 points at the moment? It must hurt a bit.
That's all right. We just work on what we work on, and we come back stronger. I mean, for me, it's my first 90 minutes in a while, so it's good to, well, not 90, but close to 90. So it's good to get back out there and play football, and goals will come for sure.
You feeling sharp?
I felt sharp. The finishing didn't look sharp, but I felt pretty good across the park. So just got to finish, sharpen up that cutting edge and go from there.
How much are you enjoying life in Sydney and in that sky blue shirt at the moment?
Yeah, loving it. We're playing great football. Like it's great. It's enjoyable to come into training. Boys are good. Coaching staff are great. So it's good. We'll get there.
Thanks, Appa. All the best.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. Right, plenty coming up in the post-game show. Don't go anywhere. Andy Harper will join me in a moment.